right, folks, I'm back. Now, I think everybody should be able to hear me. Hopefully. My apologies, y'all. I'm fighting with Skynet. I've been talking a little bit greasy about John Connor and Sarah. Can't forget the ladies. But let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm back in the building. That's a little too loud. Looks like I have sound. My board has sound. But like I said, we are going to be talking about Black employees being underpaid, which everybody knows, but not just underpaid, but also treated poorly. So again, everybody knows that as well. And I was going over a Harvard Business School review not paper, but letter they just put out earlier this morning that I was reading, and I wanted to share it with you all. But let me know if y'all can hear me. Put a 1 in the chat, because before I was over there running my mouth and we didn't have any sound. That's bad. So let me know if everyone can hear me. All right. All right. And I appreciate you all waiting for me. Hey, Kara. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm guessing you can hear me okay. Is that correct? Is all well? Sound was not working just a moment ago. Come on, talk to me, people. All right, Alexandra. Hey, Alexandra. By the way, big shout out to Alexandra, because I wanted to go over something earlier, right, about Clarence Avant, and she shared this whole thing that Roland Martin did. Now, for the record, Roland Martin, I'm a big Roland Martin fan. I love all Black journalists. Journalists are probably, in my opinion, journalists are probably one of the most important professions to the Black struggle in America and throughout the world. But a lot of times people don't realize it and don't give journalists, not just media people, but journalists, there's a difference. And at some point, I'm going to do a show on that. But Alexandra helped me out with that. And I was trying to show that to y'all earlier before my board just went like freaky, all poltergeist on me. I was getting all kind of hissing sounds out of the board. Like, don't walk into the light. Ignore the light. But all right, let me see. Let me see if I can get everything up back in place real quick. Real quick. Because I really wanted to talk about Clarence Avant. So let me back up. Right. Many of y'all probably don't know this. I don't know if I've talked about this, right? But one of the reasons why I talk about Black businesses, Black books, Black media is because I wish that stuff was there when I was growing up, and it wasn't. And I've always been a fan of business, stocks. Like, I didn't know who John Rogers was. If y'all don't know who John Rogers is, your homework tonight is to look him up. All right, I didn't know who Clarence Avant was. I heard about Barry Gordy. I just recently read a book about Barry Gordy too. Dope book. But I didn't really know about that. I didn't know about John Johnson. I didn't know about A.G. Gaston's, right? A.G. Gaston's is the one that kind of set it off for me, right? Yes. And the Tony Brown's journal. I knew about it, but didn't really know about it. And when I watch it now, like, it was really some powerful stuff. And I feel like I was deprived. Is that the word? Is that a word? Deprived from getting to see all these Black giants. These are Black superheroes. And y'all know we get to see Malcolm and Martin. And I'm cool with that. And they deserve all the love and accolades that they should get, because they did work. But there's so many others, in so many facets. Right. A lot of times we get into this narrative that Black business people don't serve the community. Well, when you look at a Clarence Avant, that ain't true. That ain't true. Now, let me see if I have some of this stuff up here. See if it'll work this time. But Clarence Avant, I got his
4 parts, 8 parts, 10 parts. They did a marvelous job. Ted, Nicole, Reggie, everyone involved did a marvelous job.
Now that's a little out of sync. I wanted to show you something first. So let me see. Let me see if I can present that now. But again, I feel like I was deprived because I didn't get to see all of these giants of industry, right? And I mean, when I saw Clarence Avant's Netflix documentary called Black Godfather, this man can help everybody, but it's not really being talked about. And I don't really see him being celebrated in our community in the way he should be. I mean, he's literally helped everybody. And so, like I said, the reason why I do these is because I didn't get to see this stuff when I was growing up. So hopefully my kids will get to see some of the stuff that I'm talking about, and they'll be able to look at folks and get some inspiration and say, you know what? That black man who looks like me can do it too. That black woman who looks like me can do it too. Because again, all we get to see is Karen and Ken on the Barbie dolls, or I don't even know if I can say that, but but let me go back and find that. But we'll go back, and I wanted to show y'all the article I wanted to talk about, and then I'll go back and I will find the video clips that I had lined up for everybody. All right, so just bear with me for 1 second, y'all. Un momento, un momento. So, like I said, I wanted to talk about this story, right? Black employees not only earn less, but deal with bad bosses and poor conditions. So again, anybody surprised? I'm not. Sadly, that happens far too often. But now when you read this little, what they call, I don't forget what they call it, teaser, right? More than 900 reviews highlight broad racial disparities in the American working experience. 900,000 people. So we're not talking about like your buddy or your homie or your homegirl down the corner or your sister's cousin's boyfriend, best friend. Like these are real studies. So beyond pay inequities, research by Litton Zhang shows how Black employees are less likely to work at companies with or known for positive cultures or work-life balance. Now, everybody is talking about work-life balance now. Work-life balance is in vogue. But then just going through this, right? It's already known, but it's still mind-boggling, right? I guess I'm at that point in life where I've seen so much, I'm not really surprised, but I'm still shaking my head because it's like, damn, it's 2023 and we still dealing with the same nonsense. What sense does that make? Right, but it says here, racial salary gap has persisted in the U.S. for more than 50 years among minority groups, with Black people currently earning 30 to 35% less than whites. Now, new research shows that in addition to receiving smaller paychecks, Black workers are less likely to have supportive bosses, a positive work culture, and a healthy work-life balance. Again, is anybody surprised? I mean, because when we go into these PWIs or predominantly white institutions, these white spaces, they are not built for us. Now, I noticed somebody's going to come back and say, well, that's why I don't want to work at a corporation. Pump your brakes, because every situation isn't the same. And there are a lot of times where Black folks can go to work and make money. And guess what? I know there's a lot of people that love the job chain, right? You got a job instead of being an entrepreneur, right? But people that work jobs still make more money statistically than those so-called entrepreneurs. So you still have to be able to weigh the balance. Should you get a job for a little while and then become an entrepreneur if that's your thing, if you have a passion for something you want to do, or maybe you should just stick it out, thug it out, and work your job for a little while, right? So it all depends. So don't take this with like it's gospel. It's not, all right? Now it goes on to say that Black employees get fewer workplace benefits or perks. Well, again, I don't think anybody's shocked. From his study, Racial Inequality in Work Environments, published in American Sociological Review in April, Zhang measured culture, manager quality, work-life balance based on almost 933,000 employees of 8,800 companies. So again, this isn't a little blip on the radar. This is a lot of work that's been done. 933,000 people, over 8,800 companies. That's not anything to kind of sneeze at or belittle and say, like, this is real. This is real data. Then it goes on to say, while such reviews are published anonymously, Zhang cross-referenced the data for the government database from the EEOC, or the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, that lists the racial percentages of employees at all U.S. companies with 100 or more employees. So employees 100 or more, still kind of in the small business range, but sometimes they're greater than that. They're big business too, right? So you got small mom and pop shops like my company, the Philly Tax Team, but then you got companies that's got 100. They're probably doing a couple million, tens of millions, on average for a lot of these businesses. And then we got all the way up to hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions. Excuse me. So again, this covers the gambit. It's not a little study. All right. What's causing work environmental inequalities? Again, I'm going to read that again. What's causing work environment inequalities? All the big SAT words. I think we all know the answer to that question. These differences, says Yang, could be attributed to two different factors. It's not two, it's only one factor. First, could be a spillover from broader societal inequalities. For example, Black and Hispanic workers are overrepresented in blue collar and service positions. Well, okay. We know that's true. Companies such as Google and Facebook have pretty good work environments. Depends on how you say pretty good, because there are studies and documentaries that talk about Google and Facebook on how they'll get food catered and all kinds of games and basketball games and work games, because they don't work. They don't want anybody to leave. They want them all to stay there at the work plant, sometimes called the plantation. So again, you got to be careful with that. All right, so companies such as Google and Facebook have pretty good work environments, and those are tailored towards highly skilled employees who are more likely to be white or Asian, Zhang says. Likewise, Black people make up a larger percentage of the population in the South. I'm tired, y'all, so bear with me for a minute. That's shocking, right? That's really shocking that Black people have a higher percentage in the South. Did y'all know that there's more Black people in the South than it is in the North? I don't think people really realize that. But like you said, likewise, Black people make up a higher percentage of the population in the South, where workers have fewer workplace protections. The union is not as prevalent in the South as well. They're there in some spots, but not like other places, right? All right, and I see some of y'all comments coming in, so just bear with me for a minute and I'll get to those as well. Remember, if you have any money questions, put a Q in front of it and I will get to it once we get through the stuff. All right, so it says, likewise, Black people make up a higher percentage of the population in the South, where workers have fewer workplace protections compared to the Northeast and Silicon Valley. Also, on the Northeast and the Silicon Valley, or the coast, you tend to have more colleges. And again, I know colleges have been getting a bad rep by a lot of people because of the high exorbitant cost, but there's something to an education. There's something to that. But all right, so here it says, Zhang, control for variations in occupation and geography. The differences in work environments among whites, Asian, and Hispanic employees went away. However, the gap between Black employees and the other races persisted. Firms of better work environments are presumably more attractive to employees. Now, I don't have this up on the screen. Let me share that right now. I thought I had that up on the screen, y'all. My apologies. So, all right, so Zhang speculates that there's Sorting is due to a combination of racial discrimination by managers bypassing Black applicants. Well, let's talk about that. If you're a Black applicant like myself, who has, like, I don't know, my teacher would say when I was growing up, one of those funny names, one of those Black names, like Kamari or Daquan. I want to say Tyrone, but Tyrone technically isn't one of those Black names, right? A lot of times I know people have told me I've submitted my application in or submitted my resume in, and they overlooked it because one thought I was Black, and these are just stories from my past, right? One thought I was Black. Some people didn't know what I was, so they couldn't figure me out. And that was from some people that worked in the hiring positions in the offices. So let me get to some of the folks real quick. All right. All right, Don Johnson saying no sound. Thank you, sir, for the warning. Keela, I hope you're still here, but welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, that's wrong. That's it. That's it. All right. So Eunice is here. How you doing? All right. So the first horn was for Kaylee or Kylie. All right. Good evening. I hope all is well. I can't hear anything. I think you are on mute. Thank you. That was so sweet. Don Johnson was just like, no sound. All right. That was me. No need responding to myself. All right. No sound. All right. All right. Akira's here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Alexandra said, I don't think I gave you the horns, Alexandra. I acknowledge you, though. But gotta give you the horns. All right, yes, and the sound is working. All right. Is it live or is it Memorex? I might be too old for some of y'all. Y'all might not remember that. Yep, Black owned media. All right. Yep. All right. Eunice says she's not surprised. All right, Akira says she can attest to that. Akira, hopefully you are doing some good self-care, some meditation, some prayer, some exercise, and good eating. Because sadly, we are in war. All right, so Alexander says, I am not. It took me getting a new position to finally getting the money I deserve. Oh, can I borrow $1? Congratulations. All right, Akira says, well, that's not correct. The perks are the same across the board for employees. The pay may not, depending on the company, department, and reporting manager. Yeah, I agree with you, Akira, but I'll say this. A lot of times people do not read the employee handbooks. And guess what's in the employee handbooks? Usually a list of benefits. And, you know, you could debate if it's somebody's fault or not, but a lot of times, nobody goes out of the way to make these people aware that, hey, you can get a copay for this, or you can get a reimbursement for work from home because you use your electricity. You know, nobody's caring about that. Articura says there are companies that do analysis of the wage gap and compensate accordingly to prevent the EEOC or Morgan and Morgan and meet and greet. Got you. Morgan and Morgan, I believe, is a law firm. All right, Eunice says my husband and I are working as well, building a building. All right, congratulations. Congratulations. All right. Y'all talking or y'all just, all right. Kira says my company medical benefits are an affordable tier level and the cost is according to your annual salary. Oh, that don't sound bad. Some are paying less for the same coverage. I have the other benefits are the same. Okay, that's pretty dope. Hey, Nick. Welcome. Shout out to Nick the Honey Hustler. Nick, how's the honey business going? All right, Akira says, all right, so your name isn't Akira, I'm guessing. My name and voice is so ambiguous that I love the shocked look when I walk into the room for the interview. Dope. All right, Akira says, yeah, my company did it. All right, y'all talking amongst yourselves. All right, Nicole says, I've read my handbook and take advantage of all my benefits. Shout outs to Nicole. Hey, Sonny. All right, Sonny says, I just joined. What sounds like you're talking about the wage differential among folks, I got stories for days. All right, what you got? What you got? All right, Nicole says she's doing good. I gave 700. So you gave 700 pounds of honey away to somebody randomly? Tell more, please. Tell more, please. I think that's dope, by the way. I think more, oh, you have more. Okay. I think more, and I'm going off on a little rant because I be talking to my son about this. I think more new businesses that start out that have no portfolio, that don't really have a book of business to give away their services for free. I know. You're probably gonna say,
You big dummy, you big dummy.
but if you look at almost every big company, every $1 billion company, they figure out a way to give something away for free. Whether it's a sample, I mean, think about it. We are on $1 billion platforms right now. Facebook is a $1 billion platform. They're giving their service away for free. This is free. Now, they have figured out, and so has Twitter, and so has Google, figured out in the social media space, you give it away free. You get content creators to create stuff. People come in, they get their friends, and everybody looks. And then guess what? They sell advertisement. Remember, money's always flow where eyeballs go, or money always flows where ears go. So money definitely flows where money and ears and eyeballs go, right? So when you look at that, right, one of the greatest ways to demonstrate your skill and the value you can bring to someone else is to give them a sample, give them a taste. I mean, how many of us have walked in the mall and got some bourbon chicken? How many of us have gotten, I'm just trying to think, right? I'm a big hip hop fan. How many people have given away free mixtapes? There are so many examples of this. I think I might do a whole show on this just to show to my son. Because I told him to give away, he does a car wash. I don't know if any of y'all have seen the videos I put up on Facebook and Instagram. But I tell him all the time, give your washes away. He thinks I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so Nicole has 700 pounds of honey to give away. All right, dope. So Nicole says, I've been giving out samples, and I have a store that will carry my honey in Ardmore. Ooh, Ardmore is a high rent district. So anybody not from the Philadelphia area, Ardmore is in what they call the main line, right? So the main line, the reason why it's called the main line is that there's trains that people ride along the train. And that train track would carry people from the suburbs on the main line into center city. And so you have a lot of affluent people getting money. They get into the bag off the main line. So Nicole's opening up a store in the main line. Well, salutes to you. I like to hear that. Get that money. Get that money. All right, so let's get back to that story, and then we can talk about Brother Avant. All right, so the racial gap is worse in the conservative areas. Is anybody shocked by that? Now, I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to blow it up. And I jumped out of order a little bit. All right, here we go. All right, Zhang speculate. I didn't. All right, a lot of hiring comes through referrals, and people's networks tend to be pretty racially segregated. That's true, right? People tend to deal with their own kind. We self-segregate. That's like a thing. All right, the racial gap is worse in conservative areas. Over and over again, surveys that show Black employees report lower levels of job satisfaction. Zeng says, well, we typically don't do well in conservative areas. And the Black folks who do well in conservative areas tend to be Black conservatives. And many of them tend to be, not always, but tend to be out of touch with mainstream Black America. They really don't know what to do with themselves, either because they don't fit in with Black folks, or they don't care and they want to be like, y'all see some of these Black conservatives. You can't tell me they believe some of this nonsense they spew. They just do it for a check. Some of the big ones. The brown skinned lady who worked for the former president, she was getting paid. So I can't believe that she believes anything she says. Sadly, there's so many of us who believe them, and they'll say things like, well, get off the Democratic plantation. And my question is, well, where are we going? And y'all know, if you've been rocking with me for a while, you know I don't care nothing about the parties. Can't label me as a Democrat or Republican. But in current day, there's no way I will be following that orange monkey who has been indicted at least 4 times in like 4 different states. Known criminal. So, I don't know. Yes, I will tell him. I'll send you the video and get you his number. And make sure to tell him to give me my commission for my sales job. All right, so Nicole says it's about who you know. That is how I got my job. That is true. Networking, your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth. And I came in and I'm killing it. I'm also being compensated for it. All right, let me hold $1. Let me have $1. Congrats to you. All right, so let's go back to this. So over and over again, surveys show that Black employees report lower levels of job satisfaction. We talked about that. All right. However, provides another example for lower levels of workplace happiness. It may actually be because that they have been sorted into firms with worse work environments. Well, typically, I do believe there is a correlation between higher education and better workplace environments, right? And then sometimes there's times when people don't want to take their education as seriously, formal and informal. Again, formal and informal. You don't necessarily have to go to school to educate yourself, but it does tend to help. A lot of times it does tend to help. Everybody's not Malcolm X. Everybody can't read the dictionary, really get a great grasp, understanding of words, and then are able to properly use those words. A lot of times you need someone to help you and teach you and guide you to really develop critical thinking skills, develop reading, develop math skills. So it gets a little hard. All right, so looking at this here, it's possible that in more liberal states, there are more policies and practices to reduce some of the stereotypes and alleviate potential racial inequality in hiring. Well, sounds like it's possible that in more liberal states, but it's possible that in more progressive states, it's possible in less racist states. By the way, I think white liberals are just as racist as some of the conservatives. The problem is, not the problem, but the reality is some of them strive to be a bit more progressive in their thinking. They might not always outwardly show or even know a lot of times that they're racist or have racial biases. So keep that in mind. All right. Zhang's data also shows that while that work condition gap is consistent across the board, it is worse in geographical areas with more conservative political views. You don't say. For example, a county with 70% Republicans has a black-white gap in work environment that's 3 times higher than a county with 40% Republicans. That suggests that the broader culture may play a role in exacerbating and mitigating some of these disparities. Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Black folks don't want to live around conservatives as much as possible. Why do you think that is? Is it maybe because many of the conservatives over time, the true conservatives, right, have been very violently aggressive towards Black folks? I don't know, sort of like Montgomery, this whole Alabama brawl. I don't know. What do you think? People don't really talk about this, right? Why did black people migrate from the South to the North? Many people say it was because of jobs, and it was partially. It was also because folks was running their ass off from the Klan. They didn't want to get lynched. And that's a part of history that nobody really talks about. Why is that? Why is that? I find it utterly amazing that nobody really talks about that. It's possible that in more liberal states, there are more policies and practices to reduce some of the stereotypes and alleviate political racial inequality in hiring, he says. Maybe. A first step toward improving workspaces. Zhang warns of several caveats to the data. I hope I'm not making y'all think I'm illiterate and can't read. Most importantly, that the reviews of Indeed, if anybody knows Indeed, it's the big workplace or hiring website, are self-selecting, so don't necessarily represent a comprehensive assessment of all employees. I wouldn't say it's a comprehensive, but it's a hell of a lot of folks. You got damn near 1 million people that chimed in and self-selected into this. He did perform several checks using another data source that seems to bear out his findings. So it bears out the same results. He got a different data set. It bears out roughly the same results. Anybody shocked? I mean, sometimes people do these studies that, like, you could pay me for, we could sit down for lunch for half an hour and I can tell you. Now, I know it's not conclusive data. It's all anecdotal, I get it. But I just wonder, like, they spend all this time on the stuff. Some of the stuff could have been sidestepped and just got to some real things like real impact and real change. All right. So even so, he says the findings are only a first step towards creating awareness around racial disparities in the work environment. Everybody knows there's racial disparities in the work environment. Why? Because there's racial disparities everywhere. Didn't Montgomery teach us nothing? Now, I'm joking around a little bit because, I know the bigger study came out before Montgomery. But again, the 1965 Civil Rights Act, again, 1965, right? Almost 60 years ago. I don't think anything has really changed. Not much. Not when you look at the data. All right, let me get here. By highlighting the importance of these issues, all right, I read that already. I'm sorry. The IRS does a really good job of tracking employee wages. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. For all y'all who haven't been filing y'all taxes, y'all about to fuck around and find out real quick, because they got more money, they got more hiring, they got more employees, and they are going for people quickly. All right, but we need to be tracking these other dimensions as well, Zach says. The more ways we have to do that, the more we can start thinking about how to make the work environment better and reduce these gaps. All right, so when I put out the YouTube and the podcast, I'll put the link in there so you all can follow along. But what do y'all think about this? I mean, I think everybody, already says that they're not shocked that Black employees are underpaid and worse treated in these workplaces in general. I know we have some of the outliers. I know Nicole has already said she's an outlier. Alexandra has worked her way up the ladder to be now like a super duper executive. Do you all feel this the way, or do you think this is just a one-off? It's not truly representative of the overall Black experience in the workplace. What do y'all think? Put that in the chat for me. All right, I see there's a couple of all right. Can you find out from Nicole what the name of her company is? Also, Well, she'll be selling her honey online. Yes, she sells it online. I brought like a million gallons from her already. All right. Some U.S. companies, no matter where they're located, just do not want to pay. I agree with that. I work for a Canadian company, and it seems other companies value us more. All right. Eunice says, no, this is very accurate. When we think about the majority of Black people, this information is accurate. I would agree. I would agree. But we got some of these folks that like to get on TV and just say Black on Black crime this, and Black people are lazy and we don't like to do anything, and blah, 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 blah. So, I was just wondering if maybe just I'm the one that's the minority. Hey, Steph. Welcome. All right. Everybody follow Fiercely Curly on YouTube, y'all. I know she's looking to grow her YouTube channel. She's over bossing up on TikToks as well. All right, Steph totally agrees. All right. And Nicole Barbie says, I am on Facebook at Aubrey Sweetacre Farms. Listen, we got Black women out here with whole farms, y'all. She bossing up. All right, let me see if I can pull it on the screen real quick. Now, I got, like I said, a whole boatload of Nicole's honey, and it's honey. It really say more than that. Let me see if I can find it. Aubrey Sweet Acres Farms. So, all right, there we go. And I am following it, so I'm doing my Black duty. All right, let's see. Nicole, I'm still waiting for you to do some videos with you pulling out the honeycombs and finding the queen bee and all that. What's going on? I already showed you some of the people that's got like 1 million subs on TikTok just showing bee stuff. TikTok, in a way, is some of the most amazing stuff. All right, so Aubrey Sweetacre Farms. All right, let me blow it up so everybody can see the email. Hopefully everybody can see it. I think I might have blew it up too much. So Aubrey Sweetacre Farms at yahoo.com. And you can call her at 856-476-4498. At some point, I'm going to start doing commercials. Y'all going to have to pay me. Pay me. All right, so again, Aubrey Sweetacres Farms, 856-476-4498. Again, 856-476-4498. Now, when I used to do radio a whole lot more, I would read a whole lot better, but I was more used to the whole radio format. Got to talk about time and whether the top of the hour, like there's some rules. There's some rules. All right. Let's see here. All right, you got a question. All right, I have a question. Are Black people showing up to work on time? Yes. All right, Eunice is okay. All right, okay. All right, you'll be ordering. All right, cool. Yes, everybody gets some honey from Nicole. She got 700 tons to get rid of it. Nicole, quick question for you. What medicinal purposes does honey have? Just out of curiosity. All right, Sonny, I just saw this. All right, yes, Black people show up on time. We are usually the first people in the office and the last one to leave. This is from my experience. Sonny, that was a joke also. And yes, Steph, check her out. And Nicole, all right, listen. So this business etiquette, no 101, they don't care about you being out of office. Just sell that honey. Pretty soon I'll be up here like a honey pump. Sell that honey. Sell that honey. So again, I wanted to talk about that study. What did y'all think about that? Were you shocked? Were you dismayed? Or did it sound about right? I mean, I knew about the money part, right? I didn't really know that there was a disparity in benefits in workplace, but again, I did, right? It's one thing to like know something in your mind, but you might not have the data for it. It's another thing when it's like, damn, this is the data. This is real. This is what happened. Like when I first learned about redlining, for all of y'all who don't know about redlining, please look it up. Like you kind of know about it, but just to see the data, and it's like, oh, redlining had deed restrictions for black people owning property, like literally in the law. Yes, blew my mind, blew my whole mind. All right, so Steph says, I have a coworker who is black. He has not been at a job for 6 months and he is already called out and shows up late. Well, listen, everybody got their uncle or their favorite cousin, right? Eunice says, I know I show up on time a lot of times. I show up early. All right, cool, cool. But, I do think it's interesting that, and I know we joke about it, how black people historically, and this is emphatic, this is plenty historical data, have worked the hardest out of anybody in this country, but get labeled the laziest. Is it me or do you just really find that ironic? And then a lot of times don't even get paid. Makes you wonder, right? Makes me wonder. Now there was a couple of videos I wanted to show y'all, but let's see if I can go ahead and put it up real quick. Bear with me for a second, y'all. One second. It's not working. So y'all see I'm having tech issues all throughout the night. All right, here we go. Now we're working. Now we are working. We cooking, baby. We cooking. All right, give me 1 second. All right, Eunice says I was not shocked. For me, it lights a bigger fire under my husband and I to continue building our business. Eunice, what is you and well, I was going to say your husband's name. What's y'all business? What y'all doing? Is it still real estate? I know you was heavy into real estate for a while. So let's see. I think I finally got one of the videos up. Again, text not working right. It's been giving me problems all night. Y'all saw that. Y'all saw that when I didn't have any sound. But all right, here we go. I got at least one of them.
4 parts, 8 parts, 10 parts. They did a marvelous job. Ted, Nicole, Reggie, everyone involved did a marvelous job.
All right, so what are we looking at? That gentleman on the left right there, that's Steve McKeever. He is, I want to say, the former founder, president, CEO of Hidden Beach Records. Now, if you're not a music nerd like I am, you probably don't know who he is. But Hidden Beach was the first label that Joe Scott was on. Hidden Beach was one of the first labels that Kindred the Family Soul was on, and many other black neo soul artists were there, right? Many that we love to this day. So he's talking about his relationship with Clarence Avant. Now, Clarence Avant, again, y'all don't remember, the documentary about him is called The Godfather, The Black Godfather, right? He's been in music, politics, He knows everybody and has helped everybody. To me, he's the godfather of black wealth because he made ways for people that didn't have a way and did it oftentimes just to do it. And I think it's dope. If you get a chance, watch watch The Black Godfather on Netflix. All right.
It still is almost impossible that his story is reduced to about 2 hours, I think.
Now that's Clarence Avant right there with the shades on. And that's that poster right there behind him. And that is the poster for Black Godfather, which is on Netflix, so you can see it. Again, didn't know about him. I feel like I've been deprived because I didn't know about this guy. Didn't know about the A.D. Gadsons of the world. Didn't know about the John Johnsons of the world. It's funny how these people have made all these John Johnson, Ebony and Jet, A.D. Gaston, $100 billion, grew up in Jim Crow, made a whole lot of money, grew up poor, grew up in poverty, was still able to amass over $100 million at the time of his passing in the 80s. What does that tell you? It tells you that many things are possible. Do we have a lot of obstacles in front of us? Absolutely. But a lot of times we can beat those obstacles because we're better than them. But I know a lot of us don't agree with that.
That is there. And I know Reggie's a dear friend, so I know how much that he, and how much it still pains him, what was not.
Now, when he says Reggie, he's talking about Reginald Hudlin. If you're not familiar with Reginald Hudlin, again, look him up. He directed Black Godfather, the Netflix documentary about Clarence Avant.
In that documentary.
Right.
And this is one of those days. I'm emotional looking at the pictures and everything and seeing Clarence. He touched so many of us in so many ways, but he was so often the hidden hand making things happen using his relationship.
All right. This is the spot where my tech went crazy.
He didn't even know that he was doing it. But he cared about fairness and equity, and as was just expressed earlier, so unafraid, generally. I mean, fearless is really the word. I'm so happy you're doing this. I'm so happy you have your show in bringing to light some of the things that aren't, fully covered at all or covered in a balanced way. And you could do the Clarence Avant tribute for hours and hours and hours on end and not get a fraction of.
All right. Sounds there. Sorry. I am having a tech nightmare today. But what I was saying is that the spot that, hopefully I'm unmuted. The spot that I was about to show on the clip, he's talking about Black journalism, right? Black journalism is really, really important to the Black community. No sound. Why don't I have? Do I still not have any sound? Please tell me I have sound.
The stories that your viewers still would never believe.
Well, the reason I think that's important, first of all, the reason why I think it's important we do this here is because when Clarence Avant passes, look, you see stories in Deadline, you see the rap, the trades, but frankly, you're not going to see mainstream media pay much attention. What you just said in terms of his impact, the things that he did, you're right. Why is it important to have a 3, 4, 5, 8, 10-part docuseries, if you will? Is because when someone like Clarence Avant passes away, all of that rich history is gone. So unless the story is told, then no one knows. Unless the book is written, then no one knows. And so people need to understand whether we're talking about the Michael Jackson stuff and the Whitney Houston and Janet Jackson and teaming them with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and again the Hank Aaron stories. I mean, all of a sudden, like literally over a 5-6 decade period, we're talking about somebody who had his hand in the middle of so much. I was watching the documentary today and completely forgot when Biggie gets killed. He sits here and works on the plane to get Diddy out of L.A. to make sure he doesn't get killed. And Nelson George was
now, how
where
crazy
he said,
is
hey,
that?
he was the one who said,
How crazy is that Clarence Avant or Avant got Diddy out of L.A. when Biggie got killed in 96, 97, right? I think that's crazy. But nobody's really talking about this guy.
we're going to fly from L.A. to Miami, then Miami to New York, because there are people at the airports who were waiting to kill Diddy. And so you're sitting here going, wait a minute, what? And then you hear Snoop Dogg talking about him, T.I. Commented as well. And so it's crazy the multiple generations of artists who he impacted.
And it's just it's beyond our 4 parts, 8 parts.
So I think that's really dope. There's another thing I wanted to show to you all. I'm glad that I got sound now. I keep boggling everything up tonight. But let's see. Let me make sure I have sound for this because I wanted to show this as well. Bear with me 1 second. All right.
This name kept coming up.
Who is this guy that I keep hearing about?
He wasn't there, but he was right there.
The record business.
Now, for some of y'all younger folks, that first guy is Lionel Richie, multi-platinum artist, right? Part of Motown. If y'all don't know Brick House or the Commodores, that's where Lionel Richie comes from.
This is Hollywood.
Civil rights, anything that had to do with the rights of people.
That told you everything you needed to know about him.
He was fearless, man. Absolutely fearless.
We needed to know him because he was.
Now, if y'all don't know that the one guy that was Quincy Jones, I want to let y'all know right now, I'm going to stand on this. Quincy Jones is the greatest producer to ever live. All right? That's all I got to say.
The gatekeeper.
He knew everyone.
Everybody.
Oh man, he was too fly.
One day after another, he became a powerhouse.
There's the power that needs the spotlight, but there's also the power behind the scenes.
The guy's a rock in every way.
Agent, manager,
Orchestrator.
This mysterious figure everybody respected.
You only find one of those people.
I'm like, how was this guy doing it?
Sometimes I say to myself, how in the did I get involved in all this? I don't let nothing get in my way about anything that I want to do.
Clarence was an African-American man in Hollywood, defying what Hollywood was supposed to be.
Black people are going to move forward. No matter what business he was in, he never wavered from his purpose.
Seeing that things were fair.
He said, would you like any help putting MCA into the black music business? I said, yeah. He says, well, that's good because I'm going to tell you what to do anyway.
I would hear about people that were in very serious situations when it came to life. And they would say, the only person that can help you with this is Clarence Avant.
Clarence is the bridge from a time where there was no opportunity to a time where doors began to open.
My brother! He understands the bigger that we are together, the bigger we will be as a culture. He told me
Henry Aaron would not be Henry Aaron if not for Clarence Avant.
that I ought not to let you just walk on me.
The message that I received from Clarence was.
Now, I got to talk about this, right? Because that one picture of the guy with the baseball, that was Hank Aaron. And there was one story that I just discovered that when Hank Aaron preceded or surpassed Babe Ruth in home run hits, Clarence Avant made sure that Hank Aaron was getting endorsement deals and everything else before anybody else said anything. He did it just out of his own volition because he wanted to make sure that Hank Aaron was taken care of. Yes, Stephanie, you have to watch it now. Everybody should watch this.
Well, just think about those kids that's looking up to me.
The deal is good getting used. Just keep on.
The person that's responsible for your transition, that's the key to changing your life.
Till you use me up.
He became that mentor.
Now, if y'all don't know that song, that's Bill Withers, the man with the gray hair, right? Do anybody know Grandma's Hands or Use Me Up, right? All classics. I'm probably showing my age just a little bit, but yes, Eunice, please watch it. Yes. I should probably, you know what? Maybe I should do a watch party. Would y'all, for y'all in Philly, would y'all want to do a watch party? I'm younger than you, Nicole. So if I'm old, you older.
That's the key to changing your life.
Till you use me up.
He became that mentor for us all. He became that godfather.
Until you use me up.
Remember the first time someone ever said, "You're the Godfather"?
Well, people call me that. People can call me anything. People have called me a son of a bitch, so what?
Use me up.
All right, so listen, y'all watch that. And to me, you know, I'm sure nobody's perfect, right? But when we talk about this thing called Black wealth, when we talk about this thing called Black community, we always have to make sure we look at everything, right? And we make sure that we're working in our best interest, but also in the best interest of our brothers and sisters as well. Because there is no us without them. And from what I gather, I didn't know the man, but like I said, I was very much impressed when this came out in like 2018, 2019, that everybody had something positive to say about him. Everybody, even in his death, everybody had something positive to say about him. And so when you put in this much work, it shows when you're passing. Because you know, when you're gone, people are going to talk crazy about you. That's just how it goes. Now, Alexandra was here earlier, and we were having a conversation on Instagram earlier. And I had shared a piece on there talking about how I felt Clarence Avant is the Black Godfather, right? Or he's the Godfather of Black wealth. And so she said, well, no, not Black wealth, everything. And so it got me to thinking, like, when y'all hear me say Black wealth, what do y'all think about? Do y'all just think it's about money? Is it anything else? Because I've done a lot of shows on wealth, the meanings of wealth. I get really nerdy with things sometimes that might drive y'all crazy, but the root word of wealth, right? It's an English word, old English word. Wealth or weal, however you want to put it, means health and well-being. So when you say wealth, it's about your health, it's about your money, it's about your overall well-being, right? It's not just about money. Health is wealth, right? Because if you are, you know, sickly and you can't get out of that and you got a bunch of money, you would probably trade every dollar you got to have good health, right? So again, when I say Black wealth, I'm not just talking about amassing money. I'm talking about everything. And so if y'all notice on this show, I will talk about fitness. I will talk about politics. I will talk about jobs, right? Everybody says you have to have a business in order to get wealth. But, you know, I have these conversations sometimes and I'll be like, well, you do realize the richest Black man in this country did have a job at one point. Now he's a billionaire. What does that tell you? Your story isn't just defined by a job you had or a setback you had. Your story isn't defined until it's all said and done, when you have no more breath. So every chance you get, every day you're able to get up and do things, you're writing your story. You're creating your legacy. So when I talk about Black wealth and how this man is the godfather of Black wealth, is that he didn't just think about himself and making money. He thought about others. Like you saw Bill Withers in there. He signed Bill Withers. He broke Bill Withers. He discovered Bill Withers. I'm a big Bill Withers fan, by the way. Right? But it wasn't just about him. It was about others. And there's like mad stories about him helping so many, many others. It's not just about that. So when I am talking about Black wealth, I can't speak for anybody else, but when I am talking about Black wealth, I'm talking about everything. We can start with politics. What does politics affect? Your health, your money, where you live, your education, right? Sadly, so many of us in the Black community think that we shouldn't participate in politics. That's crazy, in my opinion. Number one, we give our tax dollars to these politicians to just do whatever they want to do. But a lot of times we don't show up and say, this is what we want. Part of the problem is we don't understand how the process works. It's not really hard. Not really hard. You can read some books, and I would also suggest you go volunteer with some of these campaigns. Great experience. The reason I can talk about politics is because I've volunteered in campaigns. I've taken classes on politics. I've been treasurer for a number of current day elected officials. So I've been in the mix a little bit. I don't really do anything anymore. So somebody tries to ask me to be campaign manager or treasurer, I'm going to politely decline. I might support you financially if I can. But you got to understand it, because when they say the children are the future, well, if we all love our children, we got to love their education. Politics directly impacts education, directly. When you look at what's going on in Florida right now, what's the big issue? Well, you got this crazy governor, potential presidential candidate. All the teachers went out. Why is that? So this political issue has now impacted the teachers there. But a lot of us think that politics doesn't do anything. And guess what? Politics is not just voting. That you got to, one, understand the process. Yes, voting is a big part of it. Guess what? Campaign finance is a big part of it too. Giving dollars to your candidates is a big part too. When I was a treasurer, I would see people give money to these politicians. Wasn't always a lot of Black folks. A lot of business owners, non-melanated people. So if you have all these non-melanated people in office, all these non-melanated people giving money, what do you think is going to happen? The reason why you want to get involved in politics is because if you aren't there, this lady back in the day used to say this, if you aren't at the table, you are on the menu, meaning your ass about to get ate up. So you had to be present in order to make sure that somebody else that doesn't look like you, that doesn't have any melanin, isn't just there to push their interest. Because at the end of the day, everybody is for their own interest. If you're not there to represent your interest, the interests of your community, you are waiting to get toasted. We got to really get this under the belt. Clarence Avant understood that. That's why he was able to sit with presidents. That's why he was able to get meetings with presidents, all of them. And guess what? He raised money for a lot of them too. So, you really got to start looking at what do we want our communities to look like and what are we willing to sacrifice to make sure they're good. Now, I don't mean we have to live destitute and be in poverty, but can you say, hey, neighbor, are you okay? Can we sweep up the street today? Are we going to make this place a community? We're going to make this place a home. We're going to make this place a sanctuary. That starts with relationships. Your neighbor needs some sugar. Your neighbor needs some milk. You're going to say no, you're going to give it to him. A lot of us will give it to him, right? We got that part. But then we got to take it to the next level. All right, well, we want to make sure our schools are good. We want to make sure our trash is picked up. We want to make sure our streets are paved. We want to make sure there are police out there because, we got some folks who watch the show that hate when I talk about policing being a necessary thing. Some of y'all got aunties and mamas and nanas that get a little scared when they walk by a whole crowd of people and they might need some assistance. They need to be made safe. But nobody wants to have those conversations. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, right? Because everybody here understands that. But more of us got to start having these conversations with our children's, our aunties, our nephews, our nieces, because somewhere, somehow, the message is getting lost. So we got to figure out, one, how to stay in shape, how to eat right, because y'all know all the food's trash, just about trash, right? We got to figure out when to exercise. And I struggle with a lot of this, just being honest. We got to understand politics. We got to understand how it works. We need to understand what a city council person does versus a state representative. They're different things. They have different jobs. They have different functions. They handle different things. Right? And then we should be trying to figure out how to get our money up too. So if we can level set and upgrade all those things, we can level set and upgrade the quality of life for our babies. Most of us are concerned about our children. We want a better life for them, typically. Now, I know we got a couple of psychopaths out there who don't care nothing about nobody. But at the end of the day, a lot of us really want better for our children than we want for ourselves. We got to start putting that in action. We got to really start putting that in action. Now, I'm trying to find this dialogue me and Alexandra were having earlier. I don't know if she's still here or not. All right, here is one piece of it. One piece. Now I'm going to share the screen on this one, and I'm going to read this dialogue. I find some of the dialogue with my people will be interesting. Sometimes, though, I'll be just scratching my head. Now, I don't know if y'all remember the broadcast I did a couple weeks ago when they were like they're about to sell off a whole neighborhood from Philadelphia. I shared that on my Instagram. Don't you know that thing is still going? People are bickering and arguing, and I haven't had a chance to get back to it because that's been busy. But it's like, I just want to know sometimes, do you know what you're thinking and why you're thinking it? Like, what is the logic behind what you're saying? All right, so here it goes. So this is something I put up. I did a remix with somebody on here, right? And I'm trying to find what I said. I know I said something like Clarence Avant was a true Black godfather or something like that, or the godfather of Black wealth. And so Alexandra is Bougie, Diva Black, or yeah, I can't even say that name. All right, let me see. She said something else too. So, all right, boom. So she says to me, not just Black wealth. As Jimmy Jam stated last night on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Mr. Avant thought how to bring others that look like him into the room after you've arrived. So we're talking about pulling people in, pulling people up. To me, that's Black wealth, right? Because you're not just thinking about yourself. Again, it's not just about dollars and cents. It's deeper than that. I respond and I say, but that is Black wealth. And she says, no, it has nothing to do with money. Again, Black wealth is not just money. If you really, and I can go really nerdy with y'all, right? Money doesn't really produce money. And in some cases it does, but usually it's somebody's creativity, right? A carpenter has this idea of building a door, building a bench, and that is of value to somebody else and they will pay for it. That's what generates money. I don't know if y'all got that. But again, if you are talented, if you can sing, if you can cook, if you can dance, and it brings somebody else value, they want it, somebody else wants it, that can then be in exchange for money. So if you can find things that are of value that other people want, oh, that's weird, that other people want, then you can make money. You don't always need money to make money. That's one of the biggest lies that's out there. Yes, it can help you, don't get me wrong. But if you are creative enough, you can make money without not having any money. Happens all the time. Nobody talks about that though. But now going back to that page, blow it up. All right. So, okay. So she says, no, it has nothing to do with money. Please take a moment and view the interview in the entirety on the Black Star Network on YouTube. Again, the Black Star Network is Roland Martin. Now, I'm glad Alexandria showed me that because I'm a big Roland Martin fan. I think if you've been here this whole time, I've said that already. I appreciate what Roland Martin does. He's smart. He's educated. He's well-researched most times that I've seen, right? And he's a little fiery. And you all know we like fire. We like folks that get up in your face a little bit. Folks appreciate that. That's why he's Roland Martin, right? And so when she showed me that, I watched it, and I watched several other interviews, and I felt like he did an excellent job. So much so that I sent him some money. He asked for some money through the Cash App. I sent it. So again, when we're thinking about Black wealth, it's not just the money. It is everything. Now, there are some people who think it's just money. I would say, though, right now I'm getting a little nerdy. Most people don't even need to think about Black wealth. You're probably like, Amari, what are you talking about? Well, I just read something, and I'll talk about this later on this week. Your average Black person doesn't have $1,000 in savings. So they don't need to be thinking about generational wealth and sending money down. They worrying about today, taking care of their daily bread today. They need to figure out how to make more money, or at least how not to spend more than what they make. And a lot of times there's a lot of people who need to do a combination of both, because most people are not operating at their highest level of God-given ability, talent, and ability. So, but there's also a lot of people who like to spend. I've been getting a lot of people who want me to coach them and on their habits, getting them budgets and going over that stuff. And I do that from time to time. But it amazes me that most of these people don't know where their money's going at all. At all. And what do? Here's a free jump for y'all. Track what you spend the last 90 days. It'll tell you a lot of things. It'll tell you what your priorities are, 9 times out of 10. So again, when we're talking about Black wealth, it's more of an abstract, bigger thing, right? But then you got to break it down into practical steps. Do I need to get a better job so I can get better health care? Do I need to get a better job so I can get a higher income? Do I need to move so I can send my children to a better school, right? It's a lot of things into it. But anything to help generate a better quality of life for Black people, to me, is being a promoter of Black wealth, because you're looking at it in totality, not in a single fair, not in a singleized thing. All right, so let me see. All right, Champ says, what's up, Champ? Welcome. Gotta give you the horns. All right, was he a manager and agent? He did both. I know he was a manager for Bill Willis. He was a manager for Johnny Gill. But he did some other things, and he had some ties to the underworld a little bit. They talk about that in the documentary. All right. Okay, I think I just saw that one for you, Champ. Sorry about that. Oh man, my man Lawrence is here. Neighborhood finance guys in the building. What's up, Lawrence? We have to live a more robust life. Got to live beyond the entertainment, the media, and the spending. Absolutely. I agree with that. Hey, Angela. Yes, happy Wednesday. It is a Wednesday. Every day we wake up, we are winning. We're winning. We're all winners. Oh, I'm dropping gems. I appreciate that. Stephanie, you got to teach me how to get my weight up on the ticks and talks. They don't be feeling me over there. All right. Eunice says it's about legacy, freedom, power. Just to name it through. Absolutely. Can't really get the legacy without power. And I'm speaking broadly, right? Can't really get the freedom without power. But a lot of people don't think we're at war. So that's another conversation for another day. But again, talk about Clarence Avant. We got to keep our ancestors' names alive, right? There's a lot of other goofy things that are going on and out here, especially in Florida. Some of this educational stuff with how they're viewing people that were enslaved versus not. It's getting really spooky. But guess what? We shouldn't rely on government to teach our stories. That's why it's important to support real Black journalists. That's why it's important to study real history. That's why it's important to do your own research and not just blindly follow behind anybody. I'm going to say it again. I've said it before. Don't just believe me. Challenge me. Like Alexandria, she challenges me all the time. I love it. And it's cool. Like, I mean, you can have you can challenge someone in conversation and be respectful. You don't have to be disrespectful to challenge somebody. Sadly, that's one of the notions I see a lot of our younger folks take on. Some of them, not all of them. But you don't have to be disrespectful. Now, there are some people who just feel that anytime you ask the question or push back, that you're being disrespectful and challenging them. That's not the case. So you might not be able to do it with everybody, but with those who you can do it with, you should be having real conversations. Like, yo, Martin Luther King wasn't the only ancestor that fought for us. Malcolm X wasn't the only one. It's Medgar Evers. I had a conversation with like some of my son's friends. One of my son's friends, how can I put this? I'll say this. I was telling my son's friend to look up Emmett Till. And he said, oh God, you sound like my mother. History is important though. Because when you look at history, you don't have to stay stuck looking in the past, but it can definitely be a roadmap for the future. So the more you learn about history, again, don't get stuck in the past. Use it as a roadmap for the future, right? Because you're future thinking, future looking, forward looking, not just to kind of sit around, talk around about stuff in the past, but like, has this been done before? Well, a lot of the stuff that Trump does has been done before. Look at McCarthyism. Look at some of this stuff. Like, it's amazing how much of he takes on Hitler's, and I don't want y'all to take my word for it. I want y'all to look it up. On some of the stuff he takes on the same stuff that Hitler says and does. All right? But I'm going to start getting out of here. But as we get out of here, I have a question for y'all. What are y'all watching these days? Because I've been watching a lot of TV these last month or so. And recently, one of my favorite shows just came back on, Billions. It's about money. It's all about politics too. It's about life. I would encourage y'all to watch Billions. And one of my other shows, one of my more raunchier shows, is Power Book 2 Ghost. So yes, I watch all of that as well. I watch all of that stuff as well. Actually, I was actually thinking about starting to do some reviews on some of the shows I like, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. I don't have the time. All right, so Eunice says it's important that parents teach their children at home about real Black history. Yes, ma'am. And not real, when I say real Black history, not just in the United States. Look at the whole globe, and you can see a similarity of things that are going on. All right. It's important that the parents teach their children at home about real Black history. If they have to go to public school, otherwise try to homeschool them or put them in Black-owned schools. I agree. Everybody can't do it, but at least know about it and see if it's something possible for you to do. All right. Angel says, I had to add extra income. I'm a licensed life insurance agent for Florida and Georgia. I ain't mad at that. Get into some of the other states too. Because what happens if you try to get life insurance or an annuity on a person that's transgender? Are they going to try to lock you up for that? Well, we need to get bail up for you for that. I mean, because this is the craziness they talking about in Georgia. Not exactly for selling life insurance, but you get the drift, I'm sure. So if no one has any other questions, about money, business, stocks, economics. I am going to get out of here and get my vittles. You know, it's funny. Last thing I'll say, and I'll get out of here. It's funny what some of y'all pay attention to. I was talking to somebody. He's like, "Yeah, Kamari, why don't you eat before you get on the show? You always say you got to get your vittles." And I say, "Well, if I eat before I get on the show, I'm going to get the itis. That's why I got to wait. I'll get sleepy and I'll get tired. So, you know, so I'm going to go down and I'm going to get on. But Angela, let me know how you make it out. By the way, all right. And I appreciate you all for being here. Continue to rebel because you do not have to, you cannot, let me back up. You're never going to be great just being average and just following along with everybody else. At some point, you have to rebel and you have to say, you know what? I want better. And I'm not talking about rebelling just for the sake of rebelling. I'm talking about really rebelling for a cause, that cause being you. And saying, I need to learn how to do this. I need to learn how to do that. Remember, all the great rebels, 9 times out of 10 were freedom fighters. Jesus was a rebel. I'm not saying I'm Jesus. And by the way, Black Jesus. Black Jesus was a freedom fighter. So what was he all about? He was about love and truth. I think that's a great way to go. Love and truth. Start there. So thank you all. I will be back. I'm probably going to do some kind of spot episodes. There's a lot of things I want to talk about. I've been seeing this last week. But again, keep rebelling, keep moving forward, and keep having faith. Until the next time, y'all have a great night.